All right, Mech Warriors, in this head-to-head Battletech vlog, we're looking at the Dragon versus the Thunderbolt. Two classic Inner Sphere mechs going head-to-head, building that Tactica checklist, and asking the question, which mech would win 8 out of 10 times? Yes, you could get a lucky headshot. Yes, crazy stuff in Battletech happens, but 8 out of 10 times. And in terms of Tactica, what is going to take us to that win, or how could we prevent that win? So it's a little bit of head-to-head, but also trying to pull in some Battletech analysis for the mech commanders among us commanding these machines, issuing the orders, things to be aware of. So we're jumping in with the Dragon, 60 tons, long-range missile 10-pack, autocannon 5, 2 medium lasers, one in the front, one in the rear. We've got the weapons rundown. Looking at the T-Bolt coming in at 65 tons. Close, but a little bit heavier. 5 tons at this heavy mech perspective. It helps. It's there. It gives you a little bit more in terms of potential armor and weapons, but how you're going to spend that and where you're going to distribute it, that's up to the design itself. T-Bolt is coming in with a large laser, a long-range missile 15-pack, medium lasers, short-range missile 2s, and machine guns. That's a lot of weapons. That's a lot of spice for a lot of variety, where the Dragon seems to be a little bit more focused. So we're jumping in with the weapons. The first thing is the Dragon can play the long-range game. You've got a 10-pack. Now, this is a personal preference, but I think it does play into Tactica, or at least how I see it. At this weight class, I would like to see at a minimum a 15-pack. You've got the tech, you've got the support. You're also, if you're a heavier machine, generally going to be going against similar or heavier targets. You need that punch. 10 seems a little underpowered, a little light. Now, if I'm running a Valkyrie and I've got an LRM 10-pack, like that's massive. That's huge for a light mech going against other light mechs. I'd really like to see a 15. I guess it's good it's not a 5. Autocannon 5. That seems a little bit underwhelming also. At this point, I'd like a 10. Now, the advantage of the 10-pack and the autocannon 5 is consistent fire. You've got range. You're just going to be taking those shots as you can. There is something to be said to that perspective of being able to leverage it. Then when we get closer, you've got the medium laser and you've got the autocannon 5 that are going to be working. You could, in a pinch, if we're mindful of heat and other scenarios, you could fire those 10 packs at short range and just eat the modifiers. But essentially, it's the 10 and 5 at long. You're getting closer. It's the 5, the medium laser, the 5, the medium laser. The rear weapon for this 1-to-1 head-to-head, I'm going to kind of put that to the side for a moment, because that really comes into play. And I've played a Dragon before. It's an interesting machine. That medium laser rear facing comes into play more often than you might think as part of a lance or dealing with combined arms. But in this head-to-head, we're assuming that they're going head-to-head. So looking at the T-Bolt, the large laser, and LRM 15-pack. Now, that large laser seems, I'd like to see an autocannon 10. I'd like to see a PPC. I'd like to see that damage bumped from an 8 to a 10, but that's not necessarily a head-to-head. That's just looking at the T-Bolt for its weight class. But the T-Bolt suffers from heat issues. That's going to be an important thing that we're going to try to exploit if we're the Dragon, and we're going to try to keep in check as best we can if we're the T-Bolt pilot. So that large laser, that downgrade, the primary weapon of this mech to a large laser, it's still 8 points. It's still going to vaporize armor, but it seems like it should be a little bit more. The 15-pack, that's solid. Look, I can get greedy and say I want a 20, but a 15-pack on a heavy machine, that's got some reach. So for the long range, we're going to be reaching out with that 15-pack. We're going to be working in tandem when it's in range with the large laser. Then as we get closer, you've got medium lasers and short-range missile 2-packs. That's going to be a little savage. That's going to be hard for the Dragon to navigate. And I won't discount the machine guns. I won't. if for some reason the Tactica path that we were going to explore wanted these machines to get base to base and just start smashing away, well, those machine guns are possibly there. Unless you're making those physical attacks, then we're not going to be able to do them. Okay, Tactica, going head to head. They're part of a lance. They've broken off, and you've got to fight this mech. You've got to take on this machine. It's just you versus the other mech warrior. Dragon versus T-Bolt. So I see at range, the Dragon can stay at range. The T-Bolt can stay at range. I see the T-Bolt putting out a little less damage at range because the Dragon does have that autocannon 5 and it does have the 10-pack. T-Bolt has that LRM 15 at extreme range. Once it closes to a longer, shorter range and now can bring in the 15-pack and the large laser versus the return fire of the Dragon of the LRM 10 and the autocannon 5, T-Bolt is going to win that battle of attrition. I can't see the Dragon wanting to stay at range and wear this machine down. I don't think it can do that. Likewise, the T-Bolt could be comfortable doing that, trading armor for armor. It's got a good amount of armor. And then if the Dragon gets weakened enough and it goes to internals or you get down to those last 2 or 3 bubbles on the armor, then the T-Bolt's going to want to close. When the T-Bolt closes, I don't see much for the Dragon to push back with. You've got the autocannon 5, you've got the medium laser versus a large laser or large laser, medium lasers, and SRM2s. Now, you're not going to be able to blast everything, and that's what we're going to try to exploit. But it's got a lot more zap at medium to short range than the Dragon has. The challenge here, of course, is even if the Dragon was going to stay at range, because you look and say, okay, the 15-pack and the large laser, I'll navigate that. T-Bolt does have to be mindful of heat. I'm going to push the LRM 10 and the autocannon 5, stay at range. We're not talking medium mechs. We're not talking mechs that have super mobility. The T-Bolt will eventually catch up with the Dragon, from my perspective. And I'm not talking about like we're on one hex map and I happen to back you into the corner. Let's say we have infinite hex maps. Eventually, I'm going to kind of catch you. And at that point, the T-Bolt is going to push. So I see the Dragon shifting defensively, on the defensive, pushing that Tactica. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 to the T-Bolt. But there is one potential exploit. If I was the Dragon mech warrior, this is what I'd look to do. And it's not necessarily an easy Tactica, but there is a tactical possibility. The heat. I've played T-Bolts. I love T-Bolts. Man, they run hot. So from that perspective, they're also packed with tons and tons of ammo. And wacky, weird places. You've got the machine guns. You've got the short-range missiles. You've got the LRM pack. Yes, you could dump ammo. Could I, as the Dragon pilot, isolate or break through to a certain area with facing, weaken armor on a certain area, essentially ammo bin, crit, hunting, seeking? Could that happen? And could I force the T-Bolt to push that heat from that perspective and utilize and push from there? The other Tactica that I see, but I'm equally exposed, is trade some shots back and forth, see what happens, try to stay at long to medium range, and then immediately close to the T-Bolt. Now I'm in their sweet spot. Medium lasers, short-range missiles, physical attacks, 1 in 6 chance of punching in the head. I've got 60 tons. They've got 65 tons. I don't think that's like much of a Tactica in the sense that if I'm punching the T-Bolt, it's going to be punching me at the same time. But that immediately pulls us down at least to a equal footing for the potential headshots and to potentially take out. So turning it over to my fellow mech warriors, mech commanders, and mech techs, T-Bolt versus Dragon, I see the T-Bolt taking it 8 out of 10 times, pushing that. Your Tactica and your thoughts on it.